My name is Hugh King, and I live in Amagansett, and I've lived in East Hampton almost my entire life. We're in front of Home Sweet Home Museum in the beautiful village of East Hampton, and I am the director of the museum. Fortunately, in East Hampton, we have so many historical buildings still here, including Home Sweet Home Museum. We have Clinton Academy, we have Guildhall, we have the library, we have the Mulford House next door, we have the cemetery right behind us. There are so many links to the past here that it's very easy to study it, and there's no reason not to. Unfortunately, we were unable to do the historical walks that we have been doing. Richard Barons, who's the chief curator of the East Hampton Historical Society, and myself always would give a series of walks up and down Main Street and through the cemetery in the fall, and they all disappeared during the pandemic. Also, I used to make regular excursions to the town board meetings and to the village board meetings to talk about local history. Now, we've still been able to do it on Zoom, but it's not the same. When the pandemic first hit, we were not sure that. There was no vaccination, and I don't think there were any mask mandates either. So we just felt uncomfortable doing it because, remember, Richard and I are no spring chickens. So the older you were, the more vulnerable you were to the disease. So I think we just decided to stay away. Gee, that's a great question. I wish you had asked me that question before we had this interview. I might have been able to do some research. I know there was a wonderful event that could compare to the pandemic as far as everyone being involved. It was the 350th anniversary celebration in 1998. That was a good event. That was very, very important to the people. But something terrible that happened? Well, yes. In 1951, on Labor Day weekend, there was a ship called the Pelican, and it went out into Montauk, into the waters. It was overloaded, and a storm came, and more than half of the people died on that boat. That was a tremendous tragedy. Well, the hurricane of 1938, which I was not here for, please remember that, was devastating to the trees, to the environment that was here. It didn't necessarily kill so many people. And then the other hurricanes and storms we've had have not come close to impacting the people themselves. In other words, people dying. People maybe have lost their home or lost part of their home. We lost electricity, we lost trees, but it was so temporary. Whereas the pandemic has been going on now for a year and a half, 2 years, where the hurricane of 38 really hit. But within a year, things were pretty close back to normal, but we're not back to normal yet. Unfortunately, it may remember the pandemic as something that could have been done that wasn't. In other words, we could have been vaccinated. We could have worn masks. We could have got our booster shot. We could have had our children vaccinated. We could have let the schools operate in the way they should. The problem now that we have, there are too many people, to me, who have an opinion. And opinions are not facts. If you give your opinion, that's wonderful. Now we'll go on and do what we have to do. But people think because they have an opinion, that means it has to be taken care of. And it's really, really impacting the schools, and I'm so glad I'm not teaching anymore. We now have what they call a traffic jam at 5 o'clock. We've never, rush hour. It's actually been mentioned at the town board meeting that we have rush hour. Oh, and that means, you know, the light by the post office. The cars go all the way back almost to Amagansett at 4:30 at 5 o'clock. And what happened to me with the pandemic is when people came out here, they were so happy that to be in an open space that they rushed around. They rushed. So I saw so many acts of people just being impatient. Now, on the other side, I also saw acts of kindness or empathy, especially when you come to a stop sign. So many times I've seen people wave you on, because when I get to a four-corner stop sign, I stop and I let everybody go. And I've seen that happen too. So I think it's been two sides of the coin. Being at home with my wife, and we're both elderly, I was so afraid of getting sick. And if I got sick, I couldn't take care of my wife. And when my wife got sick, she wouldn't be able to articulate, I don't think, what was wrong. And then the caregivers who come to help me wouldn't be able to come. So I think that the town board put together this vaccination site up there on Stephen Hans Pass, and it saved us. We didn't have to go to Queens to get our shot. We didn't have to stand in line at Walmart, Walgreens. We were able to go there and get both our shots, and it was done very, very well. So I think that, and then there's the One Stop Market in Springs delivers food to us. White's Pharmacy delivered food. The corner store in Springs would get us health supplies. They delivered it to us. They put it right on the front porch, so I didn't have to go out in these dangerous, crowded situations. So as far as my own personal experience, the town responded very well. The same thing that I learned from 9/11. Remember when 9/11 hit and we had over 3,000 people killed, and then as the years go by, more people are dying, and the whole city was in an uproar, and we were scared and afraid. Well, can you imagine having a war going on in your country for a year? We don't realize what's going on in these other countries like Syria or the Palestine refugees. Or, so many people have dealt with this for their whole lives, and we had 1 or 2 days, now it's gone on after that, and we were devastated, and it gave me much more empathy for other people in other countries. And the same thing with this pandemic. We're lucky we live in this country. Look what's happening in some other countries. They can't get vaccines. Now, some of these other countries are also taking steps that we haven't, like lockdown. You're not going out. You have to wear a mask or you're not coming in. So I don't think we've learned as much with some of these other countries, but we're still lucky to be here. I think it's empathy. I just think we certainly have starting to have feelings for people that maybe we haven't felt before, especially for some of our newer people who have come to our country because we've had this terrible backlash against some of our newer citizens. And now I think we may be turning the corner on that. I don't think we're there yet, though. So empathy. Empathy.